For decades, Boeing has stood as a symbol of American industrial might, representing not just technological innovation, but also the spirit of global connectivity. The company's iconic jets have become synonymous with progress, ambition, and the ability to bridge continents. Boeing's aircraft have connected the world, carrying millions of passengers across oceans and borders, and helping to shape the modern era of international travel and commerce. In recent years, the Chinese aviation market has emerged as the fastest-growing and second-largest in the world. For Boeing, this market became not just an opportunity, but a necessity for future growth and stability. To secure its foothold, Boeing invested billions in China, establishing a state-of-the-art completion center in Zhoushan. This move was designed to deepen ties with Chinese airlines and demonstrate Boeing's long-term commitment to the region. The partnership between Boeing and China supported tens of thousands of American jobs, from engineers and factory workers to suppliers across the country. At the same time, it fueled China's rapid air travel expansion, making flying accessible to millions of new passengers. Yet beneath the surface of this commercial success, political tensions simmered. Trade disputes, shifting regulations, and a growing geopolitical rivalry between the US and China always threatened to disrupt the delicate balance. Boeing's reliance on China was a calculated risk. As relations between the two superpowers soured, that risk became increasingly real, with orders delayed and uncertainty mounting. The company's fortunes were now deeply intertwined with a market controlled by America's chief economic competitor, making every political shift a potential threat to its bottom line. As trade policy shifted and tensions escalated, Boeing found itself at the epicenter of a looming economic and political storm, facing challenges that would test its resilience and redefine its global strategy. In early 2025, the US shattered the fragile peace in global trade. The Trump administration imposed tariffs up to 145% on Chinese goods, aiming to force Beijing's hand and protect American jobs. This was a dramatic escalation, making business with China prohibitively expensive for many US companies. The business community sounded alarms. Supply chains would be disrupted, costs would soar, and consumers would pay the price. Despite warnings, the administration pressed on, framing the tariffs as a matter of national security. China saw the move as an attack on its sovereignty and prepared to retaliate. The world watched as the two largest economies abandoned diplomacy for economic warfare. The stage was set for a global confrontation with far-reaching consequences. China's response was swift, calculated, and unmistakably forceful. Within days of the US measures, Beijing signaled its intent to fight back on multiple fronts, making it clear that it would not be a passive bystander in this escalating trade conflict. Beijing imposed a staggering 125% tariff on a wide range of US goods, instantly making American products far less competitive in the Chinese market. This move sent shockwaves through US exporters, who suddenly found their access to the world's second-largest economy severely restricted. In a stunning and unprecedented move, China also banned its airlines from accepting any new Boeing deliveries, halting billions of dollars worth of aircraft orders overnight. The impact was immediate and severe. Boeing's expected revenue from China, a crucial market for its commercial jets, evaporated almost instantly, leaving the company scrambling to reassess its global strategy. US-made aviation parts were also blocked at Chinese borders, stranding dozens of jets in China and creating a logistical nightmare for airlines that depended on American technology for maintenance and repairs. This disruption rippled through the aviation sector, grounding aircraft, delaying flights, and forcing Chinese airlines to seek alternative suppliers or cannibalize parts from existing fleets. Some aircraft were even flown back to the US, stark symbols of a broken trade relationship and the unraveling of years of commercial cooperation. China didn't stop at commercial aviation. It targeted Boeing's defense business as well, placing subsidiaries on an unreliable entity list and sharply restricting their operations within China's borders. The retaliation was designed for maximum impact, crippling Boeing's business, sending shockwaves through the global aerospace industry, and delivering a pointed message to Washington about the costs of confrontation. By striking at Boeing, China hit a pillar of American manufacturing and exports, threatening thousands of jobs and billions in trade. The sanctions turned Boeing's workforce into collateral damage, intensifying political pressure in the US and raising fears of a broader economic fallout. China's strategy was clear: demonstrate its willingness to endure economic pain, but also its capacity to inflict it in return. signaling that it would not back down easily. The message was unmistakable. Any escalation would be met with equally forceful retaliation. Boeing was now locked out of a market vital to its survival, facing an uncertain future as the trade war entered a new and dangerous phase. The fallout for Boeing was immediate and severe. The ban froze a massive backlog of Chinese orders, up to 212 aircraft, mostly 737 MAX jets. Analysts estimated losses of $1.2 billion in 2025 alone, sending Boeing's stock tumbling. Production lines, recently ramped up, now faced the prospect of building jets with no buyers. Dozens of new planes sat idle, creating a costly inventory crisis. Boeing's management faced impossible choices: keep producing and risk ballooning losses, or cut production and devastate suppliers and jobs. The company's global strategy was paralyzed, while Airbus continued to operate freely in China. The sanctions handed Airbus a major advantage and left Boeing's future in the world's key growth market in jeopardy. The company's business model and its competitive edge were suddenly at risk. Boeing's crisis rippled through the American economy. Thousands of suppliers, from engine makers to small parts manufacturers, faced plummeting demand. Spirit AeroSystems, a key partner, announced furloughs as orders dried up. Smaller suppliers, less able to weather the shock, faced layoffs and bankruptcy. Skilled workers, machinists, engineers, technicians, suddenly faced an uncertain future. Communities built around aerospace manufacturing braced for economic pain. The tariffs meant to protect American jobs were now putting them at risk. The broader economy felt the impact. Stock markets plunged, retailers warned of shortages, and even automakers halted production. Boeing's troubles became a stark example of how deeply interconnected and vulnerable the U.S. economy is to global trade shocks. Chinese airlines, cut off from Boeing, scrambled to fill a massive capacity gap. Airbus, with its Tianjin assembly line, became the go-to supplier, seizing a golden opportunity to expand its market share. The trade war handed Airbus a long-term advantage, potentially reshaping the global aviation duopoly. But the biggest winner could be China's own COMAC. The C919, designed to rival Boeing and Airbus, suddenly had a captive home market and government backing. COMAC accelerated production, stockpiled Western parts, and pushed for international certification. The trade war, meant to protect U.S. industry, ironically gave COMAC the perfect environment to grow. A powerful new competitor was emerging, threatening to upend the global aviation landscape. The Boeing standoff is a symptom of a deeper global shift. What we're witnessing isn't just a dispute between two companies or even two countries, it's a sign of a world in transition, where the rules of trade and cooperation are being rewritten in real time. The era of integrated supply chains, which once promised efficiency and prosperity, is now giving way to economic fragmentation and strategic rivalry. Nations are increasingly prioritizing security and self-reliance over open markets, redrawing the map of global commerce. The US-China trade war is forcing countries and companies to pick sides and rethink old dependencies. For decades, businesses relied on a stable, interconnected world. But now, uncertainty and risk are the new normal. The World Trade Organization warns of a collapse in US-China trade, with global consequences that could ripple through every industry and every household, from electronics to agriculture. China is restricting exports of critical materials like rare earth minerals and deepening ties with Russia and the Middle East. These moves are reshaping alliances and shifting the balance of power in ways that will be felt for years to come. US allies are rethinking their own supply chains, wary of being caught in the crossfire. European and Asian economies are scrambling to diversify suppliers and reduce their exposure to geopolitical shocks. Domestically, lawsuits and political battles rage over the tariffs' economic toll. Workers, businesses, and politicians are all grappling with the fallout, as the debate over protectionism versus free trade intensifies. With both sides refusing to back down, a resolution seems distant. Negotiations stall, and trust erodes, making compromise harder to achieve with each passing month. The risk is clear: a splintered global economy, higher costs for consumers and businesses, and lost innovation as collaboration breaks down. The world could face slower growth and fewer opportunities for everyone. The turbulence from this trade war is shaking the foundations of the global system, and a safe landing is nowhere in sight. As uncertainty grows, the choices made today will shape the future of trade, geopolitics, and prosperity for generations to come.